Well, I've got Calvin Johnson against the worst pass defense in the league as one of my players this week. That's a mismatch, but that has nothing on the Bill Belichick matchup against Alex Tanney. I've got New England's defense this week, not because of anything the Patriots have done defensively this year. They've been very mediocre at best on defense. But in fact, Cleveland comes to town this week with probably their fourth string quarterback, a guy who's never played before, going up against Bill Belichick's defensive schemes. In the past, when second or third stringers have gone up in that kind of matchup, they've almost always been embarrassed. This is a fourth string guy in the cold at New England on a team that really doesn't have a running option. This team is number one in the league in pass attempts. They're going to throw the ball, and New England's going to be waiting. I think this could get really ugly.
Yeah, there are two picks this week of Dave's that I'm kind of jealous of, that I'm probably going to have in some of my lineups. I do multiple lineups every week, so I will have the Patriots in some of my lineups. They're just incredible value this week, mainly because of the matchup. You know, the Patriots aren't an incredible defense this year. They've had some bad luck with injuries, and it's just one of those things where you mentioned Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick is just going to destroy a fourth-string quarterback if that's who ends up playing. I mean, it's not even going to be close. There should be a ton of turnovers, and I expect defensive touchdowns from New England. But I just didn't have enough money. Again, you know, I went with 3 really stud wide receivers this week, so I had to sacrifice in a couple other areas. So I took the cheapest kicker. That was a no-brainer for me. And I went with a really cheap defense. The cheap defense that I went with are the Denver Broncos, okay? Denver Broncos are facing Tennessee this week, and Ryan Fitzpatrick has a reputation for turning the ball over. He hasn't done it much this year, but I can see it happening at some point. And again, this is one of those things where you kind of have to take a chance on a defense, right? And that's what I'm doing. I'm hoping that we have Fitzpatrick with some turnovers and ends up being a good pick.
Yeah, we talk a lot about lineups and strategies, and you might ask, how does a guy like Andre Holmes get into anybody's fantasy lineup? Well, the fact is, if I had spent $2,000 or $3,000 more and gotten a more dependable wide receiver, I probably couldn't have gotten as good a tight end. I probably couldn't have gotten as good a defense. And by taking a chance on a little lesser wide receiver, I'm able to upgrade those positions a little bit. I really love this New England matchup, but like you said, if I had gone a little higher on my tight end, now all of a sudden I'm scraping at the bottom of the barrel on defenses and not feeling as good about that position.
Yeah.
So that's part of the strategy of the game.
Yeah, one more thing. For my lineups that I'm going to have the Patriots and Jared Cook, I'm not going to have Andre Holmes in my lineup. I just wanted to get that out there.
Well, there's only 9 players in a fantasy lineup. So to me, all positions are a priority. Now, the disparity between the top defense and the bottom defense salary-wise isn't nearly what it is at other positions. So to me, you can still get a high-priced defense even by spending a lot at other positions. If this were a case where I looked at and saw that the highest-priced defense was something that I really liked, well, I might have gone with them and spent a little less, maybe even somebody less than Holmes at wide receiver. But I didn't see that, and so I would say that no, it wasn't because I treated it as a lost priority that I ended up with a fairly low-ranking defense.
For me, it's very site dependent. It depends on what site you're playing on and what those salaries are, because some sites really spread out the defenses. Some are really expensive, others are really cheap. Then there's other sites where they're all kind of bunched together, so you pretty much have your pick. You know, you don't have to sacrifice much. So the deal is you get value where you can. You know, depending on the site, you figure out, well, these defenses are cheap here, so I'm going to take these ones. You know, for me, it just comes down to value and, you know, making sure that I'm kind of spreading my risk out a little bit. And I don't agree that all positions are really important. Like kicker, I pretty much just take whatever I'm left with every single time. So I don't ever worry about, well, I've got to get a really good kicker. But defense is pretty close to that. A little more important, but